My name is Dr. Hanabeth Luke, and I am project leader of 2 soil CRC projects working with farmers, one of which is the knowledge sharing project. How do we share knowledge effectively across and between farming systems for improved soil stewardship and land management? And also the social benchmarking studies. I'm very passionate in finding out what the drivers are of the decisions that farmers make and how we can support change across Australian farming systems. A big part of that is how knowledge is shared and transferred, which is why we're here today to speak with David Davenport.
Thanks, Hanabeth. It's always been good meeting, catching up with you. Have a lot to talk about. Yeah, I'm David Davenport. I'm virtually almost retiring soil scientist and extension provider. I've been based on Eyre Peninsula for 25 years. Previously to that, I was based in Adelaide Hills, and I worked for the Department of Primary Industries for 25 years before taking 2 or 3 years as a private consultant.
I'd really love to speak with you about some of the things that you've learned over your career and what your views are on, if you're going to start working with a particular farmer, how do you start?
Okay, so one of the key things I think is to show that you're not there to use them as a resource. You are there actually to provide them support and show an interest in what they're doing and how you can work with a farmer to deliver whatever outcomes they are looking to achieve. So initially, I think you really need to understand what are the challenges facing that farmer or that farmer group. It's really important to understand what are their issues and to actually take some time to research what are their likely constraints and what are the things that are going to drive their decision making.
And how about social networks through the region? How do they have an important influence, and to what extent do you think that's something that you can consider when you start working with a farmer?
Yeah, absolutely. They are a really good starting point as a contact. So in South Australia, for example, over 100 years ago, the state government established agricultural bureaus in districts across South Australia, and I currently now work with Eyre EP, which is a peak farming group on Eyre Peninsula, and most regions now have these peak bodies who have varying degrees of membership, farmer membership. They're really useful as a contact point and also to establish that relationship about, okay, they can tell you what they need, what their needs are, but also give you some starting background and information, awareness of what you're likely to find when you start talking to landholders.
Mm-hmm. And do you find what are some of the differences that you might find between farmers in one area to another? I mean, even across the Eyre Peninsula or in other regions that you've worked?
Yeah, it's interesting because you can have cultural relationships which go back quite a long time. So one thing which is important to remember, that a lot of farmers, particularly and even older farmers, they went to school with other farmers. They're not just neighbours. They're often friends. They're people who've played sport together. Usually there will be people in the district who are considered leading farmers, who often appear on the farming system groups as committee members. And if we get close to these people, they'll actually give you a pretty good understanding of what not to do and where there are opportunities to talk to others.
So if you're looking at change across a region, then it's good to understand who those networks are, who are the sort of people who are more likely to be listened to by other people, because obviously perceptions are existing relationships are important. People are going to have a history, and sometimes they're going to see people as more of a trusted source, and other times they'll be seeing people as doing things that are really quite outside and different to what is accepted by most people, and therefore perhaps not as trusted.
Well, that's right. And sometimes these relationships go back generations.
Yeah.
So, for example, in South Australia, I work on Eyre Peninsula, which is widely recognised amongst people in the extension area as a really good place to work, because farmers tend to be a bit more innovative and a bit more outward looking. Some other districts are a bit more conservative. They perhaps are older farming districts, and it's very important to tread softly. You don't want to barnstorm in there and saying, here I am, I'm going to change things for you. It's really about, again, trying to look through their eyes and say, well, what is useful to them?
So when's the right time to engage with a farmer?
It's not so much right time, I think, but there are certainly wrong times. Be very aware of the seasonal issues and, are they having a good season? Are they having a bad season? And get some sort of understanding, well, how do you approach a farmer who perhaps is in a financially struggling situation? Because you really do need to tread very carefully. It's really about, trying to find out how we are travelling as individuals and being really conscious that, some people like to talk about their problems and concerns and hardships, whereas other people in virtually the same situation will basically just want to, forget about it. Before I move into an area which I'm not familiar with, I do quite a lot of research, trying to understand, okay, what are the issues, and talk to the people in the know, such as the farming system groups, who are a very, very important component of any engagement and extension program.
But they're not called farming system groups everywhere either, are they?
No, they're not.
Language about those sorts of things can change as well. Some of them say we're not farming system groups, we're grower groups, and it's okay, yep, there you go.
And these things can be quite important, and even getting to an area and understanding local sporting affiliations can be very important. You want to go to Eyre Peninsula and talk about NRL, well, you lose most people straight away. I know that there's often a perception out there that farmers can be a bit adverse to different people, people who don't fit their mould. But I think so long as you approach them and show that you're there and interested in them and what they're doing, I've found most farmers are actually very tolerant.
But also, once you've got people's trust and buy-in and they want to work with you, that's when you can really start to work on their priorities, bring those together with potentially different farmers and develop shared goals and vision and planning for the future.
Yeah, and it's really important to understand that you might come to them with some particular expertise, in my case soils, but they have a lot of expertise of their own. Farming is an extremely complex and difficult enterprise, and they have to have a wide range of skills. So you've really got to come in with a degree of respect and acknowledgement that that you're not some messiah riding in with the ultimate answer.
Yeah. So to summarise, I think the main things there is stepping in lightly and being very respectful, having that emphasis on building relationships and on that mutual benefit of that engagement as well.
Yes.
Also understanding the local culture, the local networks, the local champions that you might want to work with, and just understanding those dynamics. But also understanding where the farmers are at, what their context is within the drought, wet cycle, also potentially family challenges and other things that are going on for them. And then once you're there and you've gained trust and people are ready to work with you, moving forward with goals that you can design together.
Yeah, exactly. So that bit of a catchphrase about co-design and innovation is really something which we've been doing in agricultural extension for 100 plus years. So it is nothing new, even though it's now probably more recognised. But really, again, it just comes back to showing an interest in what they're doing and not out there to push an agenda.